Yay Networks.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Life with the Lindsays. My name is Heather.
And what's up, yo? This your boy, Cornelius.
Yes, I'm so excited you landed on our podcast, and your life is pretty much going to be changed.
Yes, man. If you're looking for something real, relevant, and authentic, then you landed on the right place. Hey, here's the thing. We about to get going right now, so y'all tune in, buckle up, sit back, get ready for the show. Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Life with the Lindsays. My name is Heather.
What's up, y'all? Y'all don't know this Cornelius by now. Y'all. I mean, but you might be new here. So if you new here, you didn't go here, but now you go here. What's up? My name is Cornelius.
Babe, so I'm drinking coffee. Y'all don't understand. I don't drink coffee.
You are drinking coffee, which I was shocked when you went and you got it. I was like, what did you get, an oat latte or something like that?
Some oat holiday spice latte. But this jet lag is real.
Yeah.
Like, I wake up every night. Many of you guys know we went to Israel last week before, whatever. But I wake up every morning at between 1 and 3 a.m. and I cannot go back to sleep. Like, my body won't let me.
Sheesh. I've been waking up at 4.
I noticed.
This morning I wake up at 5.
Push you off the bed.
I've been waking up at 4 o'clock.
Because you're sleeping so good.
I'm just like, I'm trying my best to just get back on schedule.
I know.
But it's hard because like at 6 o'clock, I am exhausted. I just want to go lay down. Yeah. I think what's been helping is Logan's football.
Yeah.
Because he has football practice, and sometimes if he doesn't finish up until, like, he'll finish up at 8:30 or he'll finish up at 9 o'clock, it forces me to stay up.
Yeah.
Then when I get home, I have to eat, and then it's like being with him, and then it's, that whole thing. So
the struggle's real.
I get a chance to just stay up a little bit later than you, because when I get home, you and Roman, Taylor,
we're gone.
Y'all are out. The whole house is dark. I'm like, could y'all have left like the outside light on or something?
I know, right?
We are coming back home.
I've been going to bed around like 7 or sometimes 8, pushing it. So yeah. I'm looking forward to getting back on schedule.
Yes.
But this is our last week with just audio, y'all. We're going back to video. We heard y'all. Y'all have been asking, and we're going to be launching next week. This is Life with Heather and Cornelius. And so you'll be able to see our faces again. I know y'all been wanting that.
Yay. Yeah. But just kind of closing out this season, and I mean, kind of giving you an idea of why we're rebranding. We've been doing Life with the Lindsays for almost 3 years, I think. I think it's been 3 years.
I think it's more than
Is it 3 or 4?
I think so.
But either way it goes is like, now we look at where we are in life, and we feel like, we're a lot wiser, we're a lot stronger, we're a lot healthier.
Yeah.
And
right.
So, when life offers you these new type of rebirth moments, it's great to be able to present that to people. So, Life with the Lindsays was all about just our lives, but this is life encompasses something that is outside of just who we are, but it encompasses the life around us. And that's what we want to begin to pivot and begin to talk about. So, but in saying that, and today we're talking about feeling like you're not enough.
Yeah.
Feeling like you are inadequate. You're not enough. Yeah. You don't feel like you're enough of a mom. You don't feel like you're enough of a father. You don't feel like you're enough of a provider. You don't feel like you're enough of a child to a parent. Just that feeling of inadequacy.
No, it's real. I think, and for a lot of people, that seed was planted so many years ago. That goes back to childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a parent that was really hard on you all the time, and you feel like you had to do everything that was perfect.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I saw this video on Twitter where this little girl was crying. This little Korean girl, she was crying. She was 7. She said, "I need a break. You don't let me play. My whole life is scheduled. You just want me to do my academics all day long." Mm-hmm. Little girl. I mean, you could tell she's smart as a whip, right?
Right.
But she's like, "I don't have any playtime. You don't let me play. You don't let me relax. You don't let me have fun."
Wow.
And the dad was like, okay. And it's crazy that he recorded this, because I'm like, why would you record and upload this? But he uploaded it, and I mean, they were going in on him, like, give her a break, because he was like, all right, I'll give you 20 minutes of playtime. She's like, 20 minutes of playtime a day is not enough for a little girl. But when you have that pressure on you as a child, that makes you so performance oriented as you get older. And it makes you feel like nothing you do is good enough unless you're hustling, unless you're working, unless you're overworking and burning yourself out and saying yes to everybody and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like that you're not enough is a seed that's planted as a child, but then it continues to get watered by parents. And then you go to college, and then there's constantly like this comparison battle with everybody else. And it's just ongoing war.
Yeah, so it's a lot. It's very competitive.
Yeah.
Because it's all about, feeling like you're having to measure up. Life is all about measuring up. And then, nowadays you have so many people who are constantly trying to give you their barometer for success. So they say you're not a good parent unless you do this. You're not a good spouse unless you do this. And then we have shows that come on television that almost reinforce a lot of those false ideas and those false identities. And then we have people who are on different news outlets and social media and stuff like that, who are constantly teaching these parameters of what you need to be. If you don't do all these things, then you're not a good husband. And it was just the other day I was on Yahoo reading the news, and there was an article that said 10 ways to be a good husband. 10 ways to be a perfect husband. And I thought about number one, I know men aren't reading that because we're not reading that trash. I mean, literally, it was a woman that wrote it. And she was almost writing it. It's almost like it was a woman that wrote it, and she was writing it for women. Yeah. Because women are going to be the one who's going to read it. And then it's just for women to be discontent with the husband they already have. Yeah. Because she's going to look and she's going to read and she's going to go through numbers 1 through 6 and say, well, he's not any of these. He's not a perfect husband. Maybe I made a mistake. And I'm just like, it's these parameters that, and these parameters that we've kind of put on people and saying, this is what we feel like you should be, and if you're not all these things, then, somewhere along the line, you're not good enough. Yeah. And you're not enough. And at some point we have to come and we have to, we have to settle the fact that none of that crap, none of it matters. Yeah. None of it matters.
Yeah, it doesn't. I feel like if we look around, we can constantly feel like we don't measure up. Like seriously, you can say you could go online and see somebody, a mom of, maybe she just had a baby 6 months ago, but she has a 6-pack. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you're like, dang, I had a kid 3 years ago and I got a 2-pack. You know what I mean?
I got a 1-pack. Hey.
Right. There's always going to be somebody prettier, richer, smarter, whatever. And I just feel like if you go around thinking like, oh, I'm not enough in comparison to everybody, like you're never going to measure up. You're going to be 80 years old complaining that you didn't get into a better retirement home. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like it's like this vicious cycle. So I think what I try to do on a regular basis is ground myself and bring myself back over and over again. I've been studying like contentment lately with like my time with the Lord, and the Lord was showing me that contentment is rooted in pride, or discontentment is rooted in pride. And it reminds me of Satan in the Bible. He got kicked out because he was like, I want to be like God, and how God made me is not enough. Like, it's just not enough for me. Like, I need to be more like God. I need to be something else. And then he convinced all the other angels in their pride to think that they weren't enough either. Yeah. And then it takes you to Eve too. I was studying out her life in regards to discontentment. And it's almost, you feel like, oh, did God say that? Like I'm missing out. You know what I mean? So I have to ground myself and bring myself back and say, I'm content. I'm content because if God wanted me to have it, he would. Like, he's the potter and I'm the clay. Like, I just trust him. Like, I just trust that, like, that if I'm supposed to have something, I will. And if I don't, then I don't. It's fine. Like, it's like this thing where I'm constantly like, all right, Lord, like I surrender my contentment to you. And I just believe that, and I trust that you're working out everything for my good. If I'm supposed to have it, I will. If I'm supposed to have an open door, you'll open it. But I'm not going to walk around and be like, well, I'm not happy. I'm not content. Because I feel like if you look around you, there's always going to be an area that you feel like needs to be worked on. Yeah. And then you can fester and live in this victim mentality of discontentment and always just feel like, oh, I'm just not happy. I'm not happy.
And I think it's right there where you just mentioned that is that victim mentality. Yeah. Is taking that victim mentality and saying that, that I'm going to always be like this, or the reason why I'm like this is because of somebody else. And if we can be honest, discontentment comes from the very idea that it's like you're yourself. You think in a very selfish way. You have a very selfish ideology. Yeah. And
That's real.
now you play the victim role. And hear me, in saying that you have a victim mentality, it doesn't take away everything that's happened to you.
Right.
Like you could have been a victim in some situation. I'm not saying that you have not been victimized, but I'm saying that there is a difference in playing the victim mentality. But now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. We've talked about therapy over the years with Life with the Lindsays.
Yeah.
And you understand the importance that we place on therapy. For us, it's Jesus and therapy. We believe that you need Jesus, but you also need somebody who, with whom that you can talk with. And my wife and I, we've both went and we've sat down in offices, with therapists. And now that BetterHelp provides this network of professional therapists who can walk you through your mental health journey. And no matter what you're going through, whether it's insomnia, whether it's relationship problems, whether it's family issues, whether you're having, whether it's marriage, whether it's something with your children, whether it's anger in your heart, no matter what it is, BetterHelp, they can provide you with the necessary tools in order to get you to where you need to be.
Definitely. It's definitely a game changer. Now, you guys, BetterHelp, our sponsor, is the world's largest therapy service. BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Isn't that so cool?
That's amazing.
Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist online. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to find a new therapist, y'all. Now, I think I've gone through maybe 2 therapists along the way, and I'm so glad I kept going until I found somebody that worked for me. There's no waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Lindsays. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lindsays.
Yeah, so that's BetterHelp. BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lindsays. And Lindsays is LINDSEYS. So get what you need today. But that victim mentality is there. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's real.
And it will keep you in this place of always thinking that everything that happens is all because it's happening. It's just happening to you, or it's happening because of you, and that's where inadequacy comes from. It's like, well, every bad thing is happening because of me, because of something I've done, and you feel inadequate. And inadequacy, it stops momentum. Inadequacy, it stops creativity. It stops action. You're not performing to the level that you should because you feel inadequate, or you feel, you don't feel like you're enough. You just don't feel like you measure up. And the important thing to do is to throw away that doggone ruler.
Yeah.
Is to throw away the ruler and stop. Like one of the things that I've had to do is I've had to say, okay, I can't be on social media.
Yeah.
Because for me, social media was a constant ruler.
Yeah.
And every time you scroll, it's like, this is where I'm not measuring up. And I had to say, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't do this.
No, I mean, babe, you're so right. I feel like throughout our whole life, we're going to have this like measuring stick, right? That's just like, oh, well, you need to push a little bit harder. But if you can come to this place and say, I need to unlearn a lot of bad ways of thinking and things that have happened to me. You got to get to the root. I mean, we talked about BetterHelp, which is great therapy. But for me, what I would do is I'd get all this information. I'd go to therapy, listen to all the podcasts, listen to the sermons. But my issue was application. Like, what good is it to have all this information of knowing about unlearning wrong ways of thinking, but you don't actually apply it?
Right.
Like, I will order, I don't know if you've noticed, but I order like a new book every week on Amazon and I start reading a new book. I have so many audiobooks I'm listening to right now. And it's almost like I need to focus in on that area and master it and stop trying to jump around to 20 different areas. Because I feel like we're always going to have areas that we need to work on.
Always have areas to work on. But I love what you were talking about. You have to stop jumping around. You have to finally start to single in and say, okay, this is all the information I have. But even with all the information I have, I want to make sure that I'm actually applying some of it.
Yeah.
And that I'm actually learning, from what I'm applying.
Yeah.
Because that's not what, a lot of people are doing. And like my wife mentioned, inadequacy is something that we believe starts when you are a child.
Very much
because,
so.
You had a mom or a dad or mom and dad who made you feel like you weren't enough.
Yeah.
Like you never measured up. And then they told you. You may have been told like you never measured up. And here's the thing. You have to deal with that trauma. Yeah. That's the reason why, we even mention our sponsor, BetterHelp. Yeah. Because you have to deal with that trauma. You have to go back and you got to dig up that crap.
That's real.
And you got to go through the grieving process of knowing that you will never live up to your parents' standards. And here's the thing. Admitting that you'll never live up to your parents' standards is not a bad thing, because because the next thing you got to realize is, and you got to ask yourself the question is, are my parents' standards even accurate?
Yeah.
Like, is that ruler even accurate? And in most situations, it's not. Yeah. So who gives a flying crap if I never live up to their expectations? In fact, I'll say this, and I'm on Charles, but you know how one of the things I used to always get when I pastored, I'd get people who come to the church and they would say, the younger folks, and they would say, yeah, I hear what you're saying about not living to my parents' expectations, but the Bible says to honor thy mother and thy father. And that is the only commandment that actually comes with a promise. Honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be longer. But if you understand and you break down that word honor does not mean mindlessly obey. Because if that was the case, if your mom and dad told you, oh, well, you just need to go and rob a bank, then you not robbing the bank would mean that you're dishonoring them. That's not what it means. When the Bible talks about honoring your mother and your father, or honoring God, what it means is I'm leaving a good name for. Yeah. So if mom and daddy said, "Oh, you have to be a doctor. God wants you to be a doctor. God wants you to be a doctor." Hold up, put the brakes on it. Like, you're at medical school right now, but you hate everything about medicine. You probably shouldn't be in medical school. You probably need to get out of there and figure out what it is that you were passionate about, what the gifts God gave you, and then walk that out.
Yeah, that's
and
real.
Know that in walking that out, I'm honoring my parents. My parents may not agree, but ultimately I'm doing what I believe that I have been called to do. And ultimately I believe that this is where I'll make an impact, which ultimately will leave a good name for them, even if they don't agree.
No, that's good. No, that's really good. I struggled with not feeling like I was enough for so many years, and it's still something that I'm working through. I don't feel like, I don't know. I don't feel like you're going to like arrive and be like, all of a sudden, I just feel like I'm enough. You know what I mean? I feel like God keeps me humble in this way, right? But something I had to do is because I realized the seed got planted in me when I was a baby, like me not being enough. And if anybody's adopted that's listening, or if you've had womb trauma, meaning like your parents wanted another gender or they didn't want to get pregnant, you literally felt what your parents and how they felt about you in the womb.
Right.
So what I had to do is I want you, and you guys can do this exercise if you're listening, but I want you to imagine a little baby and holding the baby. Like, what would you say to a little baby you love? Maybe it's your child. You would probably say, you would look at them. Like, I could look at, just because I'm a girl, I want to imagine my daughter, Taylor. When Taylor was born, I held her and I looked at her and I was like, I love you. She didn't have to work for my love. She didn't have to do anything. She just existed. And I thought she's the most perfect child ever. Even to this day, like, I tell our children all the time, like, you're literally the most perfect human being. Like, you're so precious. You're so amazing. You're human. We all make mistakes, but they don't have to earn it. They don't have to work for it, right? And so I had to take what I would say to Taylor and say it to myself. Like, I had to go back to like that mini me that was in the womb and say to myself, almost as if I'm undoing like everything I was feeling when I was in my mother's womb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I had to go back and say, Heather, you're enough. You're special. You don't have to work for it. You don't have to earn it. You're so loved. You're so appreciated. You're so called. God called you here for such a time as this. So I literally had to go back and imagine myself in the womb and think and speak over myself what I wanted to happen, because it didn't happen, obviously, before. And so for so many years, I struggled with that. I'm not enough, or I have to prove that I'm supposed to be here because I've shared many times I was almost aborted. You know what I mean? So I've had this thing where I'm like, I have to prove that I'm supposed to be here. And it's just a consistent like attack from the enemy unless you go back and renounce other people's words that were spoken over you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I believe it's a form of like imaginative therapy.
Very much so.
I know I did that with a therapist here recently where I had to go back and I had to talk to that little Cornelius.
Yeah.
And I had to speak things to him, and I had to audibly say things to him, because you don't realize the depth of the trauma. You don't realize the depth of the wound as the adult, because as adults, we just become good actors. We just kind of act like everything is together. We kind of act like everything is fine. We kind of act like everything is everything. And the reality of it is that it's not. And we have to go back and we have to deal with that. We have to go back and we have to deal with that embedded crap.
That's real.
That we're not choosing to deal with. But we're gonna get ready to deal with that stuff today. And while we're talking about dealing with stuff, Chime.
Deal with your finances.
Deal with your finances. Deal with your credit. You know, what's the first thing you do when you wake up? Is it checking up on your credit score? Probably not. You know, at Chime, that's exactly what they do, and that is something that you want to be cognizant of, especially in this day and age where people are siphoning off other people's information left and right. You know, with their secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can start to build credit with your own money. Chime reports your payments to credit bureaus to help you build credit over time. Their members see an increase of 30 points on average. All of this with no annual fees, no large security deposits, or credit checks to apply.
I love it. So start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up only takes 2 minutes, y'all, and it doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/LWTL. That's chime.com/LWTL.
The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank N.A. pursuant to a license from Visa USA Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact to score may vary, and some users' scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply except at MoneyPass ATMs in a 7-Eleven or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. So you got to go back to that part when you're a child. You got to deal with that crap.
You got to speak to that mini you.
Yeah, you really have to deal with it.
And renounce the negative words that were spoken over you that said you weren't enough, that said you were a mistake, that says you weren't chosen. That's not what God says about you.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to recognize the lie and replace it with the truth.
Right.
And that's what I do. I do these thought patterns. And I learned this in therapy, where you have a thought and then I write down the thought. And then I write down how the thought made me feel and what action do I want to take due to the negative thought. And then I ask myself, what thought do I want to think and what action do I want to have? So it almost helps you to capture those thoughts that are contrary to God's word by speaking the word over your life.
Absolutely. I mean, even now as an adult, as a 36-year-old man, I still deal with feelings of inadequacy.
Yeah.
Feeling like, man, like, you know, you're not enough. Feeling like I don't have enough, feeling like I don't have what it takes.
Yeah.
You know, and you still have that very, very real feeling. So I love that you've mentioned extremely practical ways that you have to employ in order to really begin to deal with this crap. You know, to really deal with it. It's real. You have, but you can't just let another day go by. You can't hear everything we just said and then just say, oh well,
yeah,
you know, that was good. Or that, you know, that really ministered to my soul. That really ministered to my spirit. But you're not doing anything about it.
That's real.
But the truth is you need to do something about it. We just talked about our sponsor, BetterHelp, and you can go to BetterHelp.com/Lindsey's, LINDSEYS, with our sponsor, BetterHelp. And you can get the help that you need there. But, you know, for therapy, but also the people that you get around, the things that you tell yourself.
Yeah.
The trauma you have to deal with from your own childhood, like those things are incredibly important, because if you do not deal with them, they're going to deal with you.
100%.
And you have to realize something, that healing is a journey.
It's a journey.
Healing is not a destination. So many people are like, I want to be healed.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that being healed is a journey. Let's say like if I broke my arm, it is. If I broke my arm and my arm is being healed, then it doesn't just magically like, you know, like my bone just kind of pops back in place. There's a process.
Yeah.
You know, there's a healing process. See, I'm gonna have to crack it. I gotta put a cast on it.
Yeah.
I got to, you know, keep it elevated. It's a process to healing. But if you stick with the process and you stay with the journey, then ultimately you get the healing that you so desire.
And the cool thing is, like, okay, you broke your arm and it got healed, but what happens if you go throughout life and you break your arm again? I feel like healing is ongoing. Areas get exposed that you need to work on. You get hurt by people. Like, life happens.
Right.
Like, you're never going to just wake up one day and everything's going to be perfect.
Right.
And I feel like we have this striving thing for perfection, and social media does not do a good job with this either, because you're looking at everybody's highlight reels. But it's this constant striving. Like, one day I'm going to be enough.
Yep.
You're just not. Listen, you have to accept that you're human. You're not perfect. You're going to screw up. You're going to mess up, and forgive yourself and love yourself and know that it's okay.
It was a quote. I sent it to you today.
I know, it was so good.
It said, and it's this new book that I'm reading. Oh, I'm almost finished with it now. And the book is called Failing Forward. And it is like probably one of the best books that I have read in my entire life that really speaks to my season that I'm in right now. But one of the things that the author said, he said, if you've learned how to forgive yourself for being imperfect and failing, you can now do it just for about anybody else. And if you have not done it for yourself, then you'll most assuredly pass on your sadness, absurdity, judgment, and futility to others.
Yeah.
He says, listen, if you've learned how to forgive yourself for being imperfect and failing, that opens you up to be able to help everybody else, to be able to just forgive everybody else.
Yeah, that's
because
real.
You finally increase your capacity for mercy. And so now you can be merciful for others. And so we bring you this episode, but let me tell you something. We want y'all to tune in next week, because we're going to start talking about purpose.
Yes.
And really what that looks like. And I know so many people, you're getting out to the holidays right now. You're probably going to be spending some time with family and friends. Mm-hmm. And let's just be honest. People are going to be asking you, okay, so what are you doing with your life? What are you doing? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? And we want to be able to provide you with some real practical things to be able to say back to people who are asking that, who are trying to question your purpose and try to question what you do. So y'all have to make sure that you tune back in on next week.
Yes, we love y'all.
All right.
See you next week.
Bye.